Okay, let's just get right to it with a question you've probably asked yourself. You know that private browsing session you open up, is it actually private?
Yeah, the short answer? It's a hard no. Not even close, really. That private mode you're using gives you this false sense of security, and the protection is way thinner than you probably think. So, let's break down why.
Because understanding that problem opens the door to a totally new way of thinking about privacy online. Today, we're going to dive into something called cloud browsers and why they could literally be the future of how we stay safe and anonymous on the web.
All right, so here's the plan. We're going to start by totally busting that private browsing myth. Then we'll look at the sneaky traces your browser leaves on your own machine. After that, we'll introduce the cloud browser solution, show you how it works under the hood, and wrap up by figuring out who really needs this kind of thing. All right, first things first. Let's tackle the private browsing myth. You know, the whole idea of what it means to be anonymous online has shifted. A lot. Seriously, what we thought was private and secure just a few years back, today it pretty much leaves you completely exposed. Just look at the difference here. Back in the day, anonymous browsing meant firing up an incognito window, maybe throwing on an ad blocker and calling it a day. But now, true anonymity is a whole different ballgame. We're talking remote rendering, isolating every single tab, and this concept of zero-trust execution. That's a fancy way of saying you have to assume everything on the web is potentially hostile. It's not even in the same league anymore.
Okay, so that leads us right to our next point. Let's talk about the hidden digital breadcrumbs your browser is leaving all over your own computer. Even when you're super careful and think you've covered your tracks, your machine is quietly keeping notes. And one of the slickest, kind of creepy ways they do this is with something called browser fingerprinting. It's wild. Websites collect all these little, seemingly harmless bits of info about your device, like your screen resolution, your OS, what fonts you've got installed. Then, they stitch it all together to create a profile of you that's so unique it's like a digital fingerprint. And they can track you with it even if you delete your cookies 100 times a day. And it's not just the fingerprinting. You've also got what we call local traces. This is literally the digital dust left behind after our browsing session. We're talking about cache files, stored data, little bits of info left by your browser extensions. All this stuff just sits there on your computer. It's a trail that can be followed, and it's a huge weak spot for both your privacy and your security.
And this is the absolute key takeaway here. All of this, the tracking, the potential for malware, the local traces, it's all happening on your computer. Your machine itself is the weak link. It's the point of failure. So if your computer is the problem, well, the solution can't really involve your computer, can it? And that brings us to a totally different way to think about browsing safely. Enter the cloud browser. So after all that, the fingerprinting, the local traces, the simple fact that your own device is vulnerable, what's the modern answer? How do we actually fix it? The solution is actually kind of brilliant in its simplicity. You take the browser and you move it off your computer completely. You just remove the biggest risk factor, your own machine, from the equation altogether.
The best way to get your head around this is to think about streaming a movie, right? When you watch Netflix, that movie file isn't actually on your laptop. It's playing on a powerful server far away, and you're just getting a video stream of it. A cloud browser does the exact same thing, but for a website. All the risky code, all the processing, it happens on a remote server. All you get on your screen is a safe, interactive picture of the web page. Okay, that sounds cool, but how does it actually work? Let's get into the nuts and bolts of how remote browsing completely isolates what you're doing from your own device and how that fixes all the issues we've been talking about.
So let's put them side by side. Your regular browser, everything runs locally, which means all the risk is on your machine. Data can slosh between tabs, and trying to control your IP with a VPN is clumsy. It affects your whole system. But with a cloud browser, the execution is remote. It's agentless, which just means you don't need to install anything. Every single tab is its own sealed-off world. You can control your IP for just one session. And sharing? Forget risky password sharing, you just send a secure link. I mean, it's a night and day difference.
And you might think this sounds complicated, but it's actually super straightforward. Step 1, you just start a session from a simple dashboard. Step 2, you log into whatever accounts you need, but each one is in its own isolated tab so they can't see each other. Step 3, you can mask your IP or location just for that one thing you're doing. And step 4, need to bring a teammate in? Just send them a link. That's it. No passwords, no fuss.
Okay, I get it. This might sound like overkill for just checking your email. So who really needs this level of control?
Let's look at some real-world use cases where this isn't just a nice-to-have, it's a total game changer.
Okay, marketers and e-commerce folks, you're going to feel this one. You know the constant headache of managing multiple ad accounts or different online storefronts? With a cloud browser, each account lives in its own little bubble. The risk of them getting linked and flagged just plummets. And better yet, you can give a freelancer access to a campaign with a link without ever sharing your password.
And for all the SEO pros out there, this is a massive time saver. Think about it. You need to see how a site ranks in Tokyo, then immediately check it from New York. Instead of fumbling with a clunky system-wide VPN, you just pop open 2 cloud browser sessions, each with its own location, and you're done. It's just so much cleaner and faster.
Developers and testers, this one's for you. Imagine needing a totally fresh, clean browser for every single QA test. You can spin one up in a second, run your tests, find that bug, and then just poof. That browser is gone. Your local machine stays completely clean, no leftover files, no junk. It's perfect.
So let's just recap the big wins here. Number 1, nothing runs on your computer, so malware can't touch it. Simple. Number 2, true isolation. Every tab is its own world, so your accounts don't cross-contaminate. 3, you get super fine-tuned control over your location and IP, just for the task at hand. And 4, you can work with others securely, sharing access without ever sharing a password. That's the whole package.
And that leaves us with one big final question to think about. We've seen how this tech tackles the biggest privacy and security problems we face online today, so you have to wonder, as the internet keeps getting more complex and more risky, is this where we're all headed? Is it just a matter of time before all of our browsing happens in the cloud?